Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Views for Build. We're back at the boat. We're getting back into our boat project. I haven't seen this thing in a long time, so we're going to jump into it. We're going to see how it's doing, and we're going to start working on getting these engines running so we can get it back into the water. In case you guys need a little refresher, I bought this 30-year-old Italian yacht about 4 years ago. It got imported from Italy into the Pacific Northwest, and we bought it. We did a little bit of repairs, installed a little bit of furniture, and we absolutely loved it. We took it boating, and then we took it out to the ocean. And when we were out in the ocean, we had oil starvation in one of our engines, and it blew up. So then we pulled the boat out of the water and started in on repairs. We took two massive diesel engines out of the boat. We rang up Texas Speed to have them build us two massive, fully built LSX engines that we can use on this, mated them to marine reduction gear transmission, and built a full custom closed-loop cooling system that we can use on the water for these engines. Test fired them at the shop, then we put them back in the boat. So that brings us to today. I think it's been a year since I've been here working on this boat. We're going to check it out. We're going to see how it's doing, and we're going to start working on things like wiring the ECUs, mounting the ECUs, doing all the power distribution that we need to, and getting these engines a little bit closer to firing up. Let's get to it. All right, jumping into the boat. First looks, things look about normal. Noticed one thing is we've got a hole in our bimini there. It's creating a little bit of mold and stuff like that. This whole bimini is going to get replaced. It's part of the work that we're going to do in today's episode. But let's look in the engine compartment. To do that, Oscar and I got to jump down here and raise the hatches. Oh man, it's a lot more swampy than I would have liked to see. Got some rags in there, got some other stuff. It looks like we need to test our bilge pumps anyways before we go back on the water. Bilge pumps are the things that pump the water off the bottom of your boat. It's not uncommon to have water in the bottom of your boat. These shaft seals right here are meant to have a little bit of water drip out of them. So this boat's built to have water in the bottom, and it's also built to pump it out. So we need to look into our bilge pump system, trigger it, make sure we put power to it, trigger it, shoot this water off board, and then clean up. This is like, what, 5th time we've done water removal on this boat? Hopefully the last time. Well, we got most of the water out of here. That's as much as you can pretty much pump straight overboard. And I gotta say, it's in a lot worse shape as far as cleanliness than I would like to see. The only other thing that I'm bummed about seeing not age well is this is a super special epoxy marine coating that was supposed to like not rust, and it's got more rust spots than the Steelite that we used on other things. So we're gonna just have to clean those spots that are corroding and get another coat of paint on there. That's a bummer to see. A lot of it you can see if it's stuff sitting on the top is probably from metal filings that are in our shop, and then they get kind of into the paint and then they're gonna corrode really fast. But yeah, anyways, that's a bummer. The dirtiness is a huge bummer too, but that's why you cannot just leave your boat open to the elements like this and expect nothing to happen. So this is not the trip that we packed everything for this much cleaning, but we will have to clean all of this stuff out. We're trying to think of a way that we can maybe build a bit of a mobile pressure washer and wash a lot of this stuff off, because it's really just surface scum. And but anyways, so we're on to more important stuff. Moving closer to the captain's area, there's a lot of reworking that needs to be done here, and we want to do it so it's really, really nice. First off, bimini, like we already said, full replacement. Secondly, the steering wheel, the stitching has aged itself completely off, so we're gonna get the steering wheel restitched, reupholstered. So we need to get that off today or tomorrow. Transceiver radio, this thing is very old, very outdated, probably the original with the boat. I saw something about Italy on the back of this, so this is gonna get, I'm ordering a new one of these. We'll get that guy replaced. Over here you have throttle and the transmission controls here and here. These need to be replaced too, so these are getting on the order list. The screen for the generator, this is still valid. That generator is right back down there, and that's still definitely a usable thing, so that stays here. This guy doesn't work, so we're gonna get rid of this. I think that's gonna be a creative 3D printing job. I'm probably not sure what I'm gonna put here. And then this is where it kind of gets interesting. This whole dash section right here, since we're all going digital EFI, things like our fuel gauge, our water gauge, raw water gauge, well, that can be in our dash, our amperage, our RPM, all these things, all these gauges that a lot of them didn't work in the first place and is why we lost oil pressure and blew the engine up. These all aren't valid anymore with our new engines that are on Holley EFI. And we have really, really nice Holley screens to replace this. So these are all gonna go. We're gonna build an inlay that goes through here, and this is gonna be digital screens, and I'll keep this nice little logo right here. But I forgot the keys to get inside, so that's gonna be from an inside out job, I think. So we're gonna have to do that one a little bit later. But we're planning everything and starting to get everything ordered. I also need to order a new compass for sure. That thing, compass, really cool to have, good thing to have. It's just too sunburned out. This might look like an endless list of stuff, but it's not that much, and I'm actually getting pretty excited as far as how close we are to being able to get this thing back in the water. Things that need custom fabrication, they take time, and there's a little bit more guess and check, but things that we can just buy and replace, like the new handles and stuff like that, it's not that big of a deal. You guys that have been watching from the very beginning know that there's been a lot of discussion about the weight difference in the boat, because we took out these engines that weighed, it's hard to remember now, but I think they weighed 4,000 pounds per engine, maybe. And we replaced them with these guys that weigh like 1,000. Maybe it's 2,000 pounds per engine and 4,000 for the two of them. I'm not really sure. These are a lot lighter. So to counter that, we may have to use ballast, put cement bags way in the back there. That's what some people have done that have re-engined these boats. But also, the boat does have trim tabs to help get us to the right level of plane when we're moving around. So these here on the back of the boat are the trim tabs. And they never worked because the lines were corroded off the boat when we bought it. So we're looking at removing these damaged lines so we can get them replaced and have working trim tabs once again. Well, for how corroded those looked, they actually came out pretty easily. We did a little electrical tape capping on there so we don't get any water in there. We blasted all the old water off until it's just oil in there. Don't worry about it, it'll be fine. So now Oscar's doing the dirty job of going inside from the backside, gonna access this bulkhead here, see what we gotta do to run these cables backwards through the boat, and then we can order replacements. I'll climb back there and hold the phone. I was just gonna come down and ask you if it's as miserable as it looks, and then of course I get recruited. All right, let's both go back here. I'm sorry, YouTube. If I'm out of hands, that means no camera. You have to subscribe to our Patreon to get this content. It's only hoses instead of only fans. Alrighty, a lot of work on the inside, but that's a wrap. This thing pulls through here. It's pretty gnarly, but it's not a full hydraulic fitting, which is interesting. So it's not using a ton of PSI to make this piston move, but is that 100 PSI rated then? I'm guessing. I say 100. Quarter-inch line. Anyways, so we need to get 2 of those replacements. We'll get those on the way, and then we'll be able to plumb these things and re-oil them, and they should be good to go. Okay, next job up is getting the steering wheel off. We decided we're going to remove the bimini at the last minute because we like working in the shade, no matter how gross it is. So I'm going to get the steering wheel off so we can get it reupholstered. Looks like I popped this cap, and then we'll go from there. Got the steering wheel off. It's kind of unique in the sense that it's just got the, like 2 bars. The rest of it still up there. Next thing that we've been doing is not very interesting on camera, but we're looking at how to adapt the boat throttle and transmission linkage. Transmission linkage is pretty easy. We just make a bracket. Oh, but we're 1 trans cable short, right, Oscar?
Yeah, it's too short.
So we're gonna have to buy a longer trans cable. Hopefully that's not that hard. We got a really cool marine shop next door. We'll go ask them a bunch of questions tomorrow morning. This is our throttle cable. And so what we've been looking at is exactly what we need to build to adapt to go from this throttle using those handles, which we're going to replace. Red ones are throttle. And we're going to go from this to this over here, which goes into our Holley dual plenum intake manifold and runs 2 throttle bodies. So we're going to be building a bracket really similar to this triangular thing back of the shop that connects into this guy right here. And then we connect this to that, and then they both get mounted right there on each engine. And then the other thing that we're going to do is back at the shop, we're going to shorten these guys up quite a bit. so we don't have a lot of ugly excess cable running around. And that is how we will control the Holley LS engines. Well, the Holley EFI and the Holley, you guys know what I mean. It's all the Holley parts, intake manifold and throttle bodies with the marine boat throttle. So tomorrow when the shop opens up, we really want to try and get a longer transmission cable, or at least get that thing ordered. So we're going to try and remove the current one from the boat. So one's good, one's bad. We're going to find out which one it is. Do you know, is it
the one on the right?
It's the one on the right. So this one is the one that's not long enough. I'm going to take the 4 screws out of this, see if hopefully I can lift this thing out and access the cables, detach that one cable and send it out. I'll detach the other cable too. That way I can take this thing into the store and see if they can help me start to source a new set of these controls. Voila! We've got the transmission selector out of the boat, got the cabling out of the boat. We are looking good. So it wasn't as simple as unbolted from the top. It was unbolted from the top, undo a bunch of cabling from the bottom. Then we decided to try and reroute some cabling that is gonna work questionably. All right, guys, it is a new day. We took that shifter. Sorry, I'm gonna climb up to the boat. Sorry if there's a lot of wind, because there's a lot of wind. All right, so we took that there shifter down to the store, and they're not really made a lot anymore. I saw one online somewhere, but it's looking like we may want to just refinish it, which is kind of cool. We've never done any like powder coating or anything like that on the channel, so why not, right? So I think first thing we should do this morning is take the throttle controls off. That way we can have everything with us, and if we want to refinish them ourselves, we can do that. Let's get those off. All right, we got the throttle control out. This is a really cool thing that we found out is it's got a lot of adjustability with these different holes that we can put our pins in. And what that's gonna do is change the distance of the cable pull for a throw, for a full throw. And why that's important is our diesel engines that we had in here, the cable would change 3 inches for a full throw from no throttle down here to max throttle up here. There's a 3-inch cable change. And when we're changing over these LS drive-by cable throttle bodies, it's a 2.5 inch pull. There's a 2.5 inch throw to go from throttle body completely closed to throttle body wide open throttle. So it's really cool is these are totally adjustable. So we just change the pin on that and it'll give us a 2.5 inch throw on our handle here. So Oscar and I, now that we got that out, are jumping into some little slower paced work. Oscar is working on leveling that engine, and that's getting the engine exactly in the right place of the boat so it meets up with our prop shaft and the prop shaft flange correctly. And what I'm working on is the power distribution and the game planning for all of our wiring. It's kind of a role that I've taken on a lot of builds recently, and it's really fun for me. So mapping out where the fuel filters and the fuel pumps are going to go, the ECU and the relay blocks are going to go, and then designing our power scheme. So we got some batteries down there that I'm going to be looking into and making sure they're going to do what we think they're going to do. They're 160 amp AGM batteries. There's 2 of them. I believe those are each dedicated to 1 engine. And then so I'm going to verify that, and then we're going to start getting a game plan out to go from our batteries to our power distribution module and back to the controls for the ECU on off, engine on start and stop, and our dashboards and stuff, which will all be happening up in the cockpit area. All right, Oscar got that engine leveled. I got a blueprint for the electrical, and we found out an unfortunate situation. So when you look down there in that bank, there's about, let me do the quick math, $2,000 worth of batteries down there, also down there. Those batteries are all reading like 1 volt or under. They're AGM, high amperage hour, like deep cycle marine batteries, and you can see that we've got all the switches to off. And we switched everything to off. We checked voltage when we parked this boat here. and we thought we were good, but there's one little line that this thing has access to that we believe runs back to the shore plug-in over there, so that when you plug in your boat and it runs to shore, it can charge all these batteries. And that little line right there, somehow there's a short, there's something that's drawing power. It drained all those batteries. So if anybody knows any secrets to recharging AGM batteries, we have a standard battery charger and a maintainer and a repairer, so we're gonna try that when we're out here next. But it might be that we're hosed and we just lost $2,000 worth of batteries, which is a bummer. But we were right in the sense that those 2 batteries are for the engines. So those 2 batteries will be for each engine. And the engine maintenance ECU, they're also gonna power the dashboard screens up here and stuff like that off of those 2. And then the other 2 are a little bit bigger amp hours. And those run things inside like the refrigerator and other stuff like that when you're, the refrigerator, the deck lights and everything like that as you're out at sea. So we got that all figured out, and then we've got the game plan for the mounting of the ECU, the power distribution, and the fuel stuff. It goes right there on this one and right there over there, which led us back over to here so I could plan out some button stuff. We're gonna use the same engine start buttons. We're gonna use the same engine key spots. We went ahead and pulled the knots meter because that wasn't working. We're gonna be using a GPS speedometer, which is gonna tell us our miles per hour rather than knots, which is fine for us because we don't care. And we pulled the compass so we can get a replacement compass because that thing is quite aged. So yeah, we're in that stage where it's looking a lot worse before it looks better. Did have an idea. These are getting a little faded and a little bit sunburnt, and I don't know if anybody has an idea of how we might be able to refresh these because I really like them. They all still have purpose. I know we could clean them up a little bit better, but if anybody's got a trick way that thought of how we could maybe fully restore them, that would be really cool if they were just a real crisp black and aluminum color. So we're starting to pack up our stuff to bring back to the shop. That table right there is in real bad shape. You can see that it's got paint bubbling and stuff going bad. So we will go ahead and pack it and we'll refinish it at the shop. We got to get a paint match for this boat, so the table will be a good thing to do that. So we're going to go ahead and disassemble it now and take it off, load it up. Sucker was on there. They glued it on, which totally makes sense, you know, but I wasn't thinking it would be glued on, and it put up quite a fight. We got it off, so we're going ahead and packing stuff up, and then we're gonna head back to the shop and start building stuff. We're back at the shop. We've got our giant boat mess of stuff going on here. We're gonna go ahead and get started on stripping the paint off this table base. We're gonna use a mixture of a wire wheel and some aircraft grade paint stripper. See what it does. I'm not thinking it's gonna strip it super well, but stuff is pretty good, so we'll find out. And we're off to the hardware store to get a paint match for that. All right, paint stripping, we're making great progress. Looks like there's a primer underneath here, and I think we're gonna just hand sand that off, but the paint stripping did work. We went out and got a paint match for the boat paint, so we are good there, and we're gonna be able to repaint all this stuff. And we've got this piece recreated right here. And then this was a door that I never really mentioned. I grabbed this off the boat pretty early on, but this is a door that we need to remake. And you can see we've got the pieces here to remake it. We just need to hit it with a router and route the edges of it. And I was supposed to make a thing to hold the ECU and the fuel pumps, but I went out to lunch, and then when I came back, everything was done. So I don't know what to say. Progress is moving fast. Some of the topics we just went over today, like electrical engineering, engineering in general, and programming, they may seem pretty complicated, but there's actually a really fun and easy way to learn about those things. And that brings us to today's sponsor, Brilliant. Brilliant is the best way to learn math, data science, and computer science interactively. It's fun and it's interactive and it's got thousands of topics and they range from basic all the way to advanced, and new lessons are added every month. They cover a ton of different topics, but some of them that relate to the automotive world is one of them is AI. I use a lot of AI to help with designing automobiles these days. Computer science and programming, how everyday technology works, and engineering. And whatever your skill level, Brilliant customizes content to better fit your needs so you can learn at your pace. One course I think is really applicable to guys building cars is their new course, Thinking in Code. It's a course that gets you designing simple programs to solve real world problems. And we run into those a lot in designing automotive. When you say one time I needed to redo the system for the locks on a car and figure out how to do that. Simple coding behind it, but once you learn that simple coding, it unlocks a lot of possibilities to build really cool stuff. So guys, go check out Brilliant. You can get started for free for the first 30 days, and you can get 20% off of your annual plan. Just hit the link at the top of the description, or it's on the screen right here, brilliant.org/B is for build. Go check it out. I think you're really gonna like it. So in the next episode, we are going to fire up the boat engines. We are actually really close. We've been emailing with Deechworks, our fuel system sponsor, and they've got everything that we need to send out, and then we're gonna wire up those ECUs, fire up the engines, test fire them in the boat. We'll get that all running and dialed. And then in the next episode, we should be on the water. It's a very high stakes game because you guys have to imagine it's like going on a first test drive with an engine swapped car. But if you get it wrong, either your car sinks into the ocean or it costs like $2,000 to pull it back out. So yeah, lots on the line. We got to make sure that we build it the best that we know how. But or it could blow up, yeah, gas engines. Anyways, there's a lot on the line, but we're gonna do it right and we're gonna get it done. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you guys are stoked that we're back on the boat. We're gonna keep working on this thing until we get it into the water, and then we're gonna finish up our camper truck. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you on the next one. Peace! Come on.